is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Man, what a weekend. What a week so far. Man, we're just sitting around talking sports. I've got a good friend of mine, actually several good friends of mine that's coming on here, and we're just going to sit around and talk sports. Get you a beverage of choice. Mine happens to be ice, water, and all that good stuff, whatever it is, man. Just get everyone you want and just have a good time. But I'm going to bring on my good buddy, Mr. Brian Donati. What is up, brother?
What has happened, my friend? How are you?
You're sounding great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
I like your water of choice there. It's got a little red color, so I'm not really sure if that's 100% water.
It
but
is.
We'll,
it's a
we'll
little
go with
sparkling
that.
ice, man. We'll absolutely do that, man. I don't drink wine. I can't stand that. It gives me a headache, man. How you been, man?
I've been doing fantastic, man. Busy as always.
Well, I tell you what. Tell people about what you got going on, man. You're all over the country now.
I tell you what, between announcing for SCCA locally here at Summit Point Motorsports Park in Summit Point, West Virginia. Occasionally, every now and then, we're getting ready to head to the runoffs this year. We're getting ready to go to Indianapolis. I can't wait for that. Got over 860 some cars.
Wow.
For 25 classes. It's going to be a fantastic time. So I'm going to work with the guys from Performance Motorsports Network. Can't wait to do that. Did it last year at Road America. I tell you what, it's going to be a fantastic week. I can just feel it already.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you've been doing this for quite some time, man. You played your dues, so to speak. You know what I mean? And to see you kind of work this up and be successful, man, it's awesome, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what, looking at the bank account, I paid a lot of dues for the lack of bank accounts.
It never stops. Hey, I'm gonna bring on some good friends of ours. Okay, that's coming on and joining us. Man, we're just gonna sit down and talk sports, man. That's all we're gonna do, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. My brother Sam Cales, and we got another special guest, Mr. Eric Siddiqui. What's going on, fellas?
Full house, man.
Full house.
Let's talk some sports, guys.
That's what we're gonna do, man. Well, guys, welcome. Got a full night, got a full agenda here tonight, man, and we're gonna talk about. We're just gonna start talking about baseball, and baseball is quickly winding down. The magical fall run. I've got the winners of the conferences here, the NL East and the AL East. Tampa Bay surprisingly is beating the likes of the Red Sox and the Yankees. They're up by 4 games in the AL East. The NL East is Philadelphia just came back and just beat the Mets. Actually, the Mets are now third. The Braves have taken over second. They're up by 2. Chicago White Sox is 10.5 games over Cleveland. Milwaukee Brewers are 5.5 games over the Reds. And then you've got Houston Astros 2 games over the Athletics. And then San Francisco Giants continue to win 4 games over the Dodgers. And we've got our Cincinnati correspondents, both of them, Sam Cales and Eric Siddiqui. Guys, I'm going to go straight to the NL Central here, man. Let's talk about the Reds, man. Let's talk about this, man. What's going on here? Are they going to do this? Eric, let's start with you, buddy.
Man, I think they got a good shot to do it. It's the problem's been their pitching, their relief pitching. Their bullpen's been a problem all year, and they've got some pretty good starting pitching. Even Castillo's coming around, even though he got rocked yesterday when they played the Indians. But he's come around, and Sonny Gray's awesome, and Miley's pitching great. So I think Miley's really our ace. But so we've got some great starting pitching, but it's just been. You've got guys with 7, 8, ERAs coming in, it's kind of, you just know, it just feels like it's never safe. A lead's never safe. Going into the 8th and 9th inning, it doesn't matter if we got even a 6-run lead doesn't seem like it's enough a lot of the time. So
that's embarrassing. If you can't hold a 6-run lead, man, in major leagues, man, it's time.
And even when
redo the farm.
Castellanos is our best player, and he was out there for a while, but him being gone wasn't a problem. They were still putting up runs like crazy, like they were, so I don't even think him being there would have made it. I don't think we would have won more games. It was all came down to our pitching. So I don't know.
I think that Cincinnati's had that issue with their pitching for a long time now. Ever since they moved to the new stadium, the place is a bandbox. It's a hitter's park. if you're a pitcher, if you're a relief pitcher, and you're signing with, getting traded to Cincinnati, get ready to see some elevated ERAs.
Brian, were you surprised, man, to see what the Nationals did, man?
Actually, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, right? I mean, you've got, big contracts. Let Scherzer go win somewhere, right? Give him another shot at championship. And look, he came out, he dominated, right? His debut, he ends up striking out 10. Got off to a little rough start there at the beginning, but wow, settled down, came out, got the curtain call, to come back out. But to go out there in your Dodger debut and strike out 10, you don't see that every day, right? That's, sometimes you come out and you struggle here and there, and then you get it in a new stadium, but to come out and strike out 10 is phenomenal to see.
Well, I'm going to give you a little flip side to that. Josiah Gray, who we got from the Dodgers, #1 prospect, came out to Nationals Park in his Nationals debut, and guess what he did? He struck out 10. Yeah. So he literally tit for tat, exactly line by line. He did exactly what Scherzer did in his Dodger debut. So,
well, listen, guys, you talk about the Nationals and you talk about the White Sox. How much are the Nationals kicking themselves in the butt for getting rid of Giolito years ago, right? Look at this guy's done when he went to Chicago. Took him a year. Once he got in there, got a little healthy, he's just tearing it up, in the American League, and he's been doing that now for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah,
over there. So.
Well, I mean, Giolito, honestly, he struggled a little bit after they quit basically inspecting and doctoring the ball. I think there was a little pine tar on the ball with him. They actually measured his spin rate after that whole debacle. Remember when Scherzer got upset because the umpires were checking the ball out? Well, Giolito's spin rate went down by like 90 RPMs or something like that after they started doing that. So there might be a little shadiness with that little baseball he's doing, man.
Still winning, though. That's what matters right now. He's still winning. They haven't figured out how to hit him yet. So
yeah. Eric, back to the Reds, man. I mean, Castellanos. Do you think they're going to resign him, man?
Yeah, I think so. I think they got him for another couple of years, actually. So, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got him for a couple more years. So yeah, I think they got a chance to do something. I mean, as far as this year goes, they need to look into bring up Hunter Green. I think they've waited long enough for that. He's had. I think his ERA is 1.98 over the last 5 games. He's striking out 9-10. Yep, 9-10 got a game. Throwing 30. He threw 36 pitches over 100 miles an hour in his last outing. So, yeah, I think it's about time to think about bringing him up. We need the help. So, they've got some opportunities.
Where's their farm team located, man?
Louisville.
Okay, gotcha.
Triple A is Louisville Bats.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, Milwaukee. That's your division, man. They just played right out of the gate. Been playing solid baseball all the way through. Do you see the Reds catching them at all?
It could happen. I mean, you see the slide that Padres are on right now. I mean, it looks like they're going to catch the Padres in the wild card. The way things are going. So I don't know. Anything could happen. But Milwaukee's playing great, so they're not making things easy for sure. I mean, I thought we were going to catch them there when we took 3 out of 4 before the All-Star break, and then we came back and dropped 3 at home against them, so that hurt. But I think they got a chance to catch them. They're just going to have to keep playing the way they're playing. Hope Milwaukee can't keep it up.
We were talking about how San Francisco, obviously got Chris Bryant from the Cubs trade. They continue just to show dominance right now in the NL West. I mean, guys, is the Dodgers going to take them? Yes or no? What do you guys think?
I don't think so. I don't think the Dodgers are healthy enough to take them right now. I mean, I think they're still struggling a little bit. Their bats are a little bit weakening. The only way that they'll get them is pitching, right? Whether or not you get Kershaw back. If Kershaw comes back in enough time to get that last push run here at the end of August, beginning of September, maybe. But I don't see them catching the Giants. The Giants the continuity of that team right now is just, they didn't make a really big deal, right? They made one big deal for Chris Bryant. Other than that, small deals here and there. So, that's what you need. You got to get that continuity and trust and belief in your teammates and stuff like that. I think that's,
We talked about this. Or I mentioned it last week. The Giants have been there. They've been a consistent team for over a decade now. And they know how to play when it comes down to this end of season, somebody chasing them, or if they have to chase. And Brian, as you mentioned, a cohesive team. I like teams like that. I'll take those things. The Dodgers pitching should be better. But I think that the Giants are going to stick around and take the West.
I don't trust Kershaw in the playoffs, man. How can you?
But they don't need to right now. Now that they made that trade for Scherzer, you don't need Kershaw. It's the other one that they need, to be able to do it with a 1-2 punch with Scherzer. They don't. Kershaw can get healthy.
But you know what? Even when Scherzer had his run here with the Nats, and they did win the World Series, man, Scherzer was actually a little bit of a liability in the playoffs, man. I mean, it wasn't Scherzer that actually dominated. It wasn't. It was Strasburg. Strasburg actually was the MVP of the World Series, man. So Scherzer, I know they brought him in the very Game 7 that we needed. I think it was he came in the 5th inning and did some relief pitching and stuff, and actually wound up shutting out that inning. Thank goodness, but. Man, it really wasn't, he wasn't the Scherzer that we knew of. I mean, of course, he's always known for giving up the dinger in the 1st inning and all that stuff, man. I just don't trust that pitching staff. I do like the Dodgers hitting. Their bats are amazing, but I just don't think they're going to, I like the Dodgers, but man, I just worried about them even making it now. I mean, look, if the Reds overtake the wild card, they got San
I don't
Francisco.
care if the Dodgers take it. I don't care if the Giants take it. I just hope they both whoop up on the Padres every time they play.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess there'll be a 1-game play-in, and it would be what the Reds and it'd be the Reds and Braves, wouldn't it?
No, it right now if the Reds can get past San Diego, then it would be the Reds and the Dodgers would be the play-in. And then the winner of that, I believe, would end up going to Milwaukee or San Francisco. Whoever has the better record at the end of the year would be your leading one. But, again, you talk about healthy pitching, guys. Look, Walker Buehler, that's the guy you got to work with Scherzer. You get Walker Buehler in there, throw Kershaw in the bullpen. That's where he needs to do at the end of the year. That's where they're going to need it if they want to catch him.
Yeah, throwing a 70-mile-an-hour curveball, every time he goes out there. What I mean? But look, they got Trey Turner now, man. That guy, you get him on base, he's dangerous. Is Trey Turner actually hitting? Is he in the 1 or 2 spot now? He's got to be in the 2 spot, right?
I don't even know. I mean, he's not playing shortstop, is he not? I don't think he's in shortstop. I think he is in the outfield at this point.
Seager was shortstop. For the Dodgers. So I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, how could you not put him in the top of your lineup? Get him on base.
He didn't lead off all that much in Washington. He sat in the 2-hole a whole lot here in Washington, and that's a capable place for him. If you've got a quality leadoff hitter, and then Turner's behind him, then Turner's going to make contact. And so you're setting up 1-2 to bring up your big bat number 3 and be ready, with guys on base. And it was in the 2018-19 World Series championship, right there. 19. What year is it? The 2019 World Series. That's how they played. It was get them on, get them over, get them in.
Yeah, I mean it was small ball, right?
Right.
Well, he is leading off tonight against the Phillies, so he's leading off, and then Muncy's hitting second, and Scherzer's on the mound. So you got the West Coast Nationals.
Yeah,
that's it. pretty much it, man. Another surprising team.
3-game series against Atlanta today, so that'll be interesting to see. I was kind of hoping that Atlanta would lay down after Acuna went down, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. So. It'll be a big series for him.
Is this going to be Freeman's last year with Atlanta?
It depends on how well they do at the end.
Yeah.
And
I think his contract's up this
year. Who's got the money to pay him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Anthony Rizzo. now. You know, what I mean, he's the Anthony Rizzo of the National League. Now, I mean, now that Rizzo's with the Yankees, and you know, Rizzo was looking for $71 or $75 million contract. No one's going to pay him that. No one's going to pay him that kind of contract.
Not
you know?
now, no.
No. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. Now, Houston Astros. Let's go to them. You know, they are leading the AL West. And man, they're 2 games over the surprising Oakland Athletics. I mean, Oakland Athletics is always known to sell out their talent, no matter where they are in the league. But you know, Houston Astros, I can't stand that team. I mean, that's the team. You know, I just no matter what, you know, the beating the drum stuff, and thank God the Nationals beat them. I'm going to tell you this right now: if the Nationals didn't beat them and we found out that they did that crap, dude, it would be hard pressed for me not to go down to Texas and just start pissing all over Houston. You know what I mean? I mean, they just, I'll never forgive them for that.
I don't think a lot of people have forgiven them for that. I don't even think the Dodgers have either.
No, how could you? I mean, you know, but they still have talent, man. I mean, they're doing their thing, but the hell with them is what I say. You know what I mean?
And they still won't let Pete Rose in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Exactly. Well, White Sox are tearing it up, man. They're 10.5 games. They're on cruise control, man. Can you believe Tony La Russa's doing this with that team?
Pitching.
Yeah.
Got the right pitching in the right spot.
Well, hitting too. They won 11-1 last night against the Indians. So, I mean, I'm sorry, the Twins. So, they absolutely are on fire right now, man.
You mean the Guardians?
No, I'm not going to call that crap team the Guardians. By the way,
you know, I don't mind the name, but that logo, that logo is just absolutely terrible.
They absolutely got that logo on Fiverr or Wish.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to tell you what, guys, kudos to the 6-year-old that came up with that, because that's a great drawing. I mean, that's fantastic. That kid should be his college should be paid for the nenext, you know.
That is the most woke logo I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that is ridiculous. I mean, I would leave Cleveland. That's just embarrassing, man. And then, of course, the famed AL East, you have Boston, you know, trying to make a run against Tampa. But I mean, guys, let's talk about this, man. Tampa continues with mediocre talent to continue to win this, man. How is this going on? I mean, there must be something special in Tampa. You got the Buccaneers. You got the Lightning that's won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and now you have Tampa Bay Devil Rays leading the East by 4. I mean, they have a good shot, you know, of getting the World Series this year, man. Don't be sleeping on. They've been, you know, the top of the AL East basically from the start, man. What is going on in Tampa?
I think it's the
like
rebuild.
When Brady went to Boston.
Brady went to Boston Magic.
They started winning. The Red Sox started winning when they came, and you know, now he's brought down to Tampa. So I think it's just that good juju. I don't know.
Yeah,
we need to bring Brady to the Bengals.
Well, I think Tampa went through a bit of a rebuild here a few years back, and you know, fans may not like the idea behind a rebuild, but there's something to it. They went through it. They suffered, and now they've built themselves back into a contender. Living in Washington, the Washington football team, this is something that they should have committed to 5 years ago, and not thinking they're just a piece or two away. And that's what Tampa did. Look at the long-term goal, and their long-term goal has them sitting first place in the AL East right now.
Yeah. I mean, they just continue. I mean, are they still playing that numbers ball, man? You know, they still using all those stats and all that stuff, man, the analytics? Is that still the general manager?
That's Oakland. That's how Oakland's in second.
Is that what it is?
But it's not from the Rays hitting. Their highest average on the team is 268, and the next is 253. So it's not from that. They're not getting it from the clutch hitting, right?
No.
You got one guy that's only got 9 wins. So it's not, you know, they're just collectively as a team, just they're winning in the right spots. They're beating the teams they need to beat.
Is Ohtani still leading the major leagues in hitting in home runs?
I'm not sure.
I believe he is.
Pull up the stats.
I think he had like close to 40 last time I've seen it.
See how fast internet goes here, and
It'd be interesting to see who's leading hitting and batting and home runs right now. Didn't even look that up.
he shows him as the AL leader with 37, ahead
37.
of Guerrero with 35.
Gotcha. Yep. And then who's leading the batting title right now?
Michael Brantley with a 329.
Strong.
So
strong. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see this push, man. I mean, seriously, the one I'm looking at is I'm looking at the Braves. Could they take over Philly? And I'm also looking at the Reds. I mean, I know the Reds. They just seem to get in these little spurts, but I mean, I think they could overtake Milwaukee. But who knows, man? Who knows? It could happen, man. Milwaukee's just been on this run that's just insurmountable. But I mean, it's late in the season, and anything can happen, man. I think they're going to tire out and crap out, man.
Votto's even turning around. He looks great. I mean, ever since he came back from that broken thumb, he's played amazing. So, and he seems excited about the team and finally, being on a winning team. So, I mean, it's good to see him kind of get back to form.
Yeah.
So, I think they got a chance. They're hitting solid. Their schedule isn't horrible going out. They have another series against Milwaukee, so they got a good shot.
Yeah, they've
got
at
least,
obviously they have to go.
It helps. It helps as far as the wild card goes that the Padres are gonna have to face the Dodgers and the Giants a fair amount here at the end of the year. So,
but I tell you what, if the Padres don't make the playoffs after that freaking amount of money they spent here this year, that's a daggone shame, man. Daggone shame. What I mean, I think I don't know what their payroll is. It's close to the 200 million or something like that. Something ridiculous. All right, moving on, guys. Let's go to the coaches poll. Did you see the coaches poll just came out today?
Yeah, guess who's number one? Bet you,
Guys,
bet
man,
you
can you guess who's number one?
Wow.
Yeah, 1 and 2 is Alabama, Clemson, and then surprisingly, number 3 is Oklahoma, and then Ohio State, Georgia, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Iowa State is 7. I'm sorry, is 8. North Carolina is 9, and guess who's number 10?
Cincinnati.
All right.
Cincinnati is
Hey,
number 10.
Cincinnati had a great year last year.
They had a
played
fantastic
really, really well last year in college football.
They did. They had a great year, man. Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I mean that is solid. Cincinnati is number 10, man. I mean, talk about that, Eric. Talk about those Bearcats, man.
Man, that's surprising, but every time we get a good coach and everything starts going good, they start winning, then some team swoops in and takes our head coach away. We got to start over again. So don't get too excited about Cincinnati because it's kind of a stepping stone place. That's the way that's what it's treated with a lot of these coaches and stuff. So, but
in the last
they
5
had
years,
great.
In the last 5 years, man, they have been solid, both college football and in basketball, man. They've been a well-rounded school, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's
you
going
see my
on
team?
there,
I still miss Bob Chuggins, man. That was my dude. He was a beast.
Hey, I like Huggy Bear at WVU. Thanks for that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the man.
But yeah, I mean,
hey, while we're on WVU and college sports for a second, I had to lower the West Virginia flag a little bit, not quite half staff, for Coach Bobby Bowden, who spent some time there at West Virginia. Florida State, great. Greg, your Florida State Seminoles there.
Yep. Yep.
Man, what a guy, what a coach.
What a coach, man. I mean, he man, I always think of Bobby Bowden. I mean, when you see Waterboy and the old coach on the other sideline from Waterboy, daggone well they were trying to make him Bobby Bowden. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But no, I mean Bobby Bowden was, I mean, he was a better man, than and then also, leading his young guys, not only in football, but I mean, in life, man. And, I've heard nothing but great things about him. And, they said, he was a very approachable guy and just a great influence, man. One of the great coaches in the great battles against, the Miami Hurricanes and, Florida and all that stuff, man. It was fantastic. So, yeah, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal to watch him, and he transformed football. Was one of the best recruiters ever, and sad to see him go, but he died of 91 years old, and what a great life he lived, man. So, rest in peace, Bobby Bowden. But obviously Alabama's number 1, Clemson's number 2. But you know what's interesting, man, Eric? 2 Ohio teams in the top 10, man, according to the Coaches Poll, and Iowa State, man. That is surprising to me. Iowa State.
I like to see that. I mean, like I was saying about those coaches, that's why I'm not a fan of Notre Dame or Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly left out before a big game against the Gators at the end of that year. Didn't even coach the game, so
right.
I'm like automatically got on my shit list for that.
Absolutely, man.
They always do well until December, and then after December, it's like they don't even show up. It's like everybody leaves December 1st, right? They get to a bowl, they get to a good bowl, and they can't do anything.
So let's talk about this real quick, man. We touched on this in the very first podcast we did, man. But Alabama obviously is in the SEC. Third place in the Coaches Poll here is the famed Oklahoma, Texas, getting ready to go to the SEC in 2025. That leaves a lot of different shakeups about the NCAAs. Brian, let's get to you, man. Let's talk about the business of the NCAAs, man. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to have 4 super conferences, and the Big 12 is going to have to merge in with the Pac-12? I think some of the teams like Sam, West Virginia, is going to be left hanging. They're going to have to do something, guys. Let's talk about what's going to happen with college football here.
I think you'll see. You'll get a couple big powerhouses, right? A couple big powerhouse conferences, just like you talked about with 4, right? You'll see some of them move. You'll see some of them not move. When you get to the actual dollars and cents, the financial part of it, I mean, look at Maryland, right? Maryland moves out of the ACC, goes to the Big Ten, and really hasn't competed in any major sport.
That's a shame, by the way.
In the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
So it became about financial, about how do you set up your institution. You're going to see teams like that do it now, right? The Big 12, remember, they were not always called the Big 12, right? I mean, it was always, I think it was the Big 10 at one point, or not the Big 10.
Southwest Athletic.
Yeah,
SWAC.
I mean, it was the SWAC there for the longest time, right? You didn't have teams like West Virginia. You had all your Texas team and your Oklahoma teams, and that's what it was. So as we're starting to, and look, let's talk about now how college athletes can now get endorsement deals. The kid that's going to Ohio State that is graduating high school early so that he could be at spring, be at practice right now, right? He graduated high school already. He's already signed an endorsement deal. Now the figures haven't been released, but I think it's close, obviously, in the 6 figures.
Is he being sponsored by tattoo parlors?
Yeah, no. I think he needs hair. I think he needs the hair color. He's got a different. He's got like white hair. It's like
you need to go tattoo parlors in Ohio State, man. Yeah.
So yeah, I real quick, Sam, I really think you're going to see a lot of colleges look for better financial to help their institutions. Number one. The second part of that is going to be where, athletes can now get an endorsement deals on their names, right? That's going to change the institutions and the financial part of it. So you're right. I mean, I think maybe what you'll end up seeing is conferences. I don't even think it'll be less than 4. I think you'll see 3 major conferences where you want to compete in all major sports: football, basketball. I'll even throw in baseball there, right? Because that's getting really, we're starting to really get big in that. So again, it's about financials right now, and that's really what it's all about.
The idea of your big schools, your Alabama, Texas, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, the big schools are going to be the draws. And so to get these kids who can now sign those endorsement deals, get the money while playing college ball. Well, you have to get yourself out there. So you have to go to a big school. You have to go somewhere that's playing. So your smaller schools, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Northwestern, these schools are going to get left out. And it's we'll be seeing 1A and 1AA with the teams that used to be out there challenging and competing. Locally, Virginia Tech in the 90s was a monster. Virginia Tech, sorry, you're an afterthought now. You're in the ACC.
Rightfully, as they should be.
Yeah, they're in the ACC because they were. They're trading off their name. They're those middle schools that had a chance to compete in the 80s and early 90s. There's no shot.
But I mean, who wants to see though, guys? I mean, look, who wants to see these top teams continue to win over and over and over again? I'm sick of Alabama. I mean, I respect them, but I mean, quite frankly, I could care less if Alabama falls flat on their face. It's time for the changing of guard. Even Clemson. I mean, I have much respect for their football programs, but as a fan, I mean, I want to see some variety, man. I want to see, maybe a shakeup. I mean, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but I mean, I like to see Notre Dame, tackle something. I mean, Florida State again, kind of getting back into it. And, I mean, I want to see, I'm tired of seeing Alabama continue just to make it to the championship over and over and over and over again. We see the same product over again. I mean, to me as a fan, it's just boring,
But you're not gonna see that, Greg. And the reason why you're not gonna see that, you're gonna see the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Ohio States, because that's where kids now can go get their name out and make that 6-figure endorsement deal. Hey, you're playing for Alabama. You got a shot at a starting wide receiver. Okay, we'll sign them to an endorsement deal and pick up $500,000. The kid's college is paid for, right? For that. Yeah. And so that's what you're going to see. You're going to see those teams. Talk about, Cincinnati and Eric. You're not going to see that, right? You're going to see them start to even go down a little bit further. They probably have a lot of kids coming back this year, but you're not going to see any $1 million, endorsement deals for these kids out of Cincinnati because it's a lower market school. And that's what's unfortunate about, granting that bill or passing that, with the NCAA in order for that to happen.
They do have chili and they do have crack. So,
that is true.
And the chili's like crack.
When you mix them together, you're in life.
I still think it's in there already. I don't know.
Oh my God. But still, you're right. But it's going to be, and here's another thing to get, guys. The NCAA is not paying these athletes to come, but I think it's going to open the door for a potential recruiting violations all over the freaking place. These endorsement deals are coming from, corporations and boosters and all sorts of stuff, that you see. But what's to say that, a Nick Saban can't go in the living room and say, hey, I've got this, car dealership that's going to give you, this big SUV to come over to Alabama. If you decide in dotted line, you got an SUV or your house is taken care of, or a real estate firm, but buy somebody a house or whatever. There's going to be so much, bargaining, and the bigger schools are going to get the top talents because basically you're buying them in now. And again, it's going to open up a huge can of worms with this crap. And I just think it's just it's really going to affect college football or college sports forever, man. I think the rich get richer. You got schools like we talked about this last week, Sam. Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel had a $450 million donation base when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy. I went to Texas A&M and saw what Johnny Manziel built. That place is phenomenal. And, those are rich schools. Like Texas is one of the top giving schools in the country. I fear that these schools like an Iowa State or Cincinnati or whatever, they're just going to be just on the chopping block. You know what I mean? You're not going to see this. You're going to see the top 5, 6, 7 richest schools get the best talents, and that shouldn't be,
See, I see the opposite. I don't think you're going to see any NCAA investigations anymore. I think you're going to see that go by the wayside because you're right. Just as you said, Nick Saban could walk into, somebody's house and sit down in their, in their living room and, say to Eric, hey, Eric, you know what? I've got Adidas sitting over here on the back end that's looking to give you $500,000 endorsement if you come in and play for me. Because you're a 4-star recruit, right? That's what's going to happen, right?
Right.
So, You know, I think the NCAA investigations are going to not go by the wayside. It's going to be a lot harder to prove what was said, or a lot harder, because anybody can, they can do that with their names now, right? They can get the endorsements off the individual names of the kids playing sports. So it's going to be hard to do that.
So is Reggie Bush going to get his Heisman back, or
no?
Should he get it back?
No,
You know what I mean?
he should. He should get his Heisman back.
Since they came out and said that it was basically wrong how they did things, like for all those years, not letting them be able to, do anything to make some money. These student athletes don't have any way to make money, and then they're, they've got practices in the school and everything else.
But if I'm guys like Reggie Bush or even before, right, I'm suing. I'm looking to bring a lawsuit because, especially for the Heisman, right? You're now making it legal for kids to do whatever it is they want.
Here's what the NCAA said about that, though. They said the NCAA is not paying. The schools themselves are not paying these athletes. It's the endorsements that they're allowed to make. So they're not being paid to play by the schools themselves. And that's what Reggie Bush did. He was paid by USC to come and sign with that team.
Well, it's like Cartman wanted to start bum wrestling and then was trying to figure out how to pay his guys. So he was going to all the heads of all the conferences, like, how do you get out of paying your players? Like, oh, we call them student athletes. Like, oh, that's genius. That's how you get them. So you don't call them slaves, then you call them student athletes. I get it.
Respect my authority. No, you're exactly right, man. But I mean, what do you guys? I mean, here's another thing that NCAA is doing. They just can't leave well enough alone, man. I mean, but they're talking about this 12-team playoff system, man, and. I mean, what are they doing? Throwing breadcrumbs to the smaller schools at that point? You know what I mean? Are they going to do that? I mean, are they going to sit there and go, okay, wait a minute, you might not be the top tiers, but we're just going to throw you this. We're going to let you get, the smaller teams have a chance into this playoff system. I don't know, man. I don't like that 12-team playoffs. I mean, it adds 2 or 3 more games to the season for the champion.
I don't like it either. You're turning yourself into the NFL. You were your own thing. You had your own thing. The college football bowl season was a thing. This playoff now, it's going to absolutely destroy the bowl. The whole bowl season. Watch the Pool and Weed Eater Bowl if they're still sponsoring a bowl. I don't know if you're Pool and Weed Eaters why you do that. Watch that bowl game and see if there are more than 10,000 people sitting there. There aren't. These 50, 60, 70,000 seat stadiums that look like high school stadiums with so few people there. It's terrible, and I've gone away from watching it because I can't stand it. It looks terrible. These games they turn into like the NFL's Pro Bowl, where who cares? Win or loss doesn't matter. I'm not in this playoff, so it means nothing for me. And fans aren't going to watch it. It's
the NIT of football, man.
Yeah.
It's the NIT of football.
And nowadays, even when you do have a good team that goes, that's not in the playoffs, right? That goes and plays in one of these bowls, just as Sam was talking about. Now you've got these kids that are saying, no, I don't want to play in it because I want to go to the NFL. I can't take my chance in getting hurt in this. So you're leaving 52 other people out or 51 other kids out because you're one they're going to count on. You basically just said, I don't even know why we're doing it. So you're right. I think that they shouldn't have 12 teams. They should at least have 6. We're always talking about 1 or 2 teams that shouldn't be, in there. Does that add an extra game for the champion? Well, sure, it does. But it adds an extra game. If you think about it, just about every, college football team, even your FBS or your FCS, whichever one is, the smaller ones, they're playing 12 games too, right? And they're playing a 32 team championship run.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, you look at some of those, and those are better games than than the bowls.
You have like the James Madison versus North Dakota State championships, man, and that 2A division. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, pure football, man.
And
So-
and is James Madison hurting? Drive down 81 and see that mammoth football stadium that James Madison has built. I mean, these smaller schools, that have alumni, have fan bases. People are going to come there, and James Madison is proof of that.
And to be honest with you, man, I mean, these smaller schools are starting to throw some really good, talent to the NFL. I mean, you've got some great talent that comes from these smaller schools now. So, yeah, I mean, it's not all bad. Speaking of NFL, man, let's go ahead and get into the NFL. Guys, I was looking at the strength of schedule that came out and see who, first of all, we'll get into our picks here, who you guys think is going to take the Super Bowl. But going through the NFL strength of schedule, Steelers number 1, Ravens number 2, Bears number 3, Packers 4, Vikings, then Lions. So the whole NFC North division is 3 through 6. Then the Bengals is their 7th. Raiders, Browns, and Rams are the hardest schedules. The easiest schedule on the board, guys, is the Philadelphia Eagles, and right before them is the Cowboys. So it looks like the NFC East has the easiest, the NFC North has the hardest, and man, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens this year. Eric, we're going to start with you, man. The Bengals signed Joe Burrow out of LSU, who absolutely destroyed the competition in college, broke all sorts of quarterback records and everything else. Comes to the Bengals, has a great debut, man, and unfortunately got hurt early and ended his season, man. But what is going on in the Bengals land right now, Mud?
Man, I knew that was going to happen last year. I felt like, I said it all year. They just let their it's been a problem ever since they, let Zeitler and Whitworth go and had no plan to replace them. And, so it wasn't a surprise when Burrow got hurt last year. I was just kind of surprised it took as long as it did. But I thought they had a good chance to draft a good lineman. I still think they should have taken Penny Sewell out of Oregon. But Bengals don't always do the make the smart decision or ever. So
I mean,
I don't know. They did take the dude out of Clemson. That was a Cincinnati boy. So we'll see how he pans out, in the second round. So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I've heard that Burrow's now having some trouble with pocket, pressure and everything, and just not feeling comfortable in the pocket.
Feeling ghosts, huh? Feeling ghosts.
Right. Which reminds me of Palmer. After he tore his ACL, he was never the same. And he was just, you could tell he was never comfortable in the pocket again. So,
what was that? Sam Darnold in the Jets last year was talking about, seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently now he's having all the extra coaches come in the pocket just to simulate having a pocket, a tight pocket collapsing around him and stuff, throwing under that pressure and stuff, just try to get more comfortable with it.
You mean
So,
kind of
the guys,
a true Bengals pocket.
yeah, right. How it's gonna be. The guy seems like he's a winner. He wants to win. He's working hard to get back. So I have more faith that he'll come back than an average guy.
That's pretty.
ACL, so.
Let's just call it what it is, man. It's pretty irresponsible that your number 1 quarterback draft pick goes down, number 1 overall 2 years ago, comes out, tears his ACL, and how do you not pick up some protection to protect this guy? That is unbelievable, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. I don't even think Chase was the best wide receiver in the draft. I could see, potentially he might be the best fit for Burrow, seeing that as they have some chemistry together and everything. But I don't know.
Kind of hard to throw the football to him when you're laying on your back.
Right.
It's going to be a little difficult to do.
I know our best first round draft pick we ever had was Anthony Munoz, and he's still the only guy that we have in the Hall of Fame. And look at all the success we had in the late '80s, with that draft pick. Quarterbacks, not he turned Boomer Esiason and what's his name, Ken Anderson, into Pro Bowlers, and not having to worry about their backside. I don't know. I felt like if he just had that guy on his, watching his back, that left tackle position is huge for a quarterback. Not having to worry about getting. I felt like that would have been the best move, but they didn't ask me. So
I'm going to go over talk about it here real quick. Address something, talk about quarterbacks and controversies and stuff. The Seahawks obviously were talking about trading Russell Wilson to the Chicago Bears for 3 first-round draft picks and some subsequent picks. They said no, which was unbelievable. Thank goodness, because we got Justin Fields. But they decided to not trade Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, though, was not happy with the organization. He definitely wanted to be traded out of Seattle. Now he's coming back, and he's trying to be this leader. Right now, I think that team's going to be in ruins. I don't think that, people are going to respect Russell Wilson in that locker room. Pete Carroll's trying to keep it together. But, I think they're going to be on the downfall by far. Russell Wilson, they were talking about this idiot, Max, whatever his name is from ESPN, the hot take guy, was talking about that the Seahawks blundered Russell Wilson's prime career by not protecting him and having him run for his life the entire time. And he could have been so much better if he had the protection. And he said this. He said, it was Max Kellerman. He said that Russell Wilson has been the best NFL quarterback in the last 6 years combined. How could you say that?
Overall, statistically? Is that what he was referring to?
I don't
what was
know.
his
But
reference,
there's guys like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. You ever heard of those guys? There's no way that Russell Wilson. Now, I think he's a top 5 quarterback, but there's no way he was the best quarterback in the last 6 years.
If he was judging it by the talent that was on each team in order to get to that, in order to lead the team where they were, it's possible. I'm not saying he's right. What I'm saying, it's an argument. It's not a very good argument, but it's an argument.
I don't know where he's coming from with that, man.
I wouldn't have put him number 1. I probably would have put him 3 or 4, but I wouldn't put him number 1. But from what Russell Wilson has had to do with the talent that's around him. And again, I think this whole thing that came out, during the summer was more of, listen, you got to start listening to me a little bit as, being someone who is your franchise.
Yeah.
You're seeing that in Aaron Rodgers, right? I think that's kind of the same.
By the way,
scenario.
That's a mess. That whole Aaron Rodgers thing was a mess. It still is a mess. I think it's embarrassing.
Well, you don't have a one owner. You don't have an owner for the Green Bay Packers. It's not an owner. It's an ownership of a so it's kind of hard to do that. You wouldn't see that in Chicago. You wouldn't see that in, again, any team, right? You wouldn't see that in Cleveland. You wouldn't see it.
Our owner's 94 years old. Doesn't know where she's at half the time. Old Virginia McCaskey, man. So, but
still biggest steal in the draft.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Justin Fields.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, let's get your picks. Conference wise, guys. Let's go ahead and start with the NFC East. Brian, who do you got?
I'm actually going to go the Washington football team.
I agree with you, man.
Here's the reason why I say that. Philadelphia, that's a disaster.
Yep.
Right. The Giants, it depends on what Daniel Jones is going to do. Right. They're going to come out and play well.
Sucks.
It depends on whether or not Barkley can come back and be 100%. They say he is. Dallas. Hey, look, they signed, Prescott to a big, huge deal. He's hurting right now. And I'll take here's the example I give you. And you guys probably saw this too. If you're the Dallas Cowboys and you've got to go across the street or go down the road there. Now I know they're out in California right now, but you got to bring in the doctors from the Texas Rangers to look at somebody's arm as your quarterback. And I have some concern. There is concern with him. So I think with the defense right now, I'm going the Washington football team for the East.
I agree. Eric.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with my boy Chase Young. He's a beast, so he's gonna cause some problems for those quarterbacks. I agree with him. I like my dad went to Mississippi State, so I've always been a Dak fan, but he's one of those running quarterbacks who's just gonna get hurt a lot, and he's kind of shown that. So I just don't see him staying healthy enough. If he stays healthy all year, I could see the Cowboys taking it, but I'd have to go with Washington.
Yeah, see, I think Sam, you and I were both on the same page with Washington, right?
Well, yeah, we said last week Washington. It's their defense that carries them. I said the defense is 3 wins this year. They definitely are. Dallas defense is 3 losses this year. And I think in Washington they have a capable quarterback, not a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, a capable quarterback. And it's not going to look great record wise end of the year, 9-8, probably somewhere around there again. But it's Washington. Washington's the best defense, still wins in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to go with Washington. All right, NFC North. Sam, let's go back with you, buddy. NFC North.
You don't want to hear it. It's probably going to turn out to be wrong. You know what? No. Scrap that. I like Minnesota. I'm going to take Minnesota. Let's be fun. Let's be crazy. I like what they do there. I like Cousins. I liked Cousins in Washington. Washington was crazy to let him go. Minnesota.
Okay, Eric.
I don't know. I mean, I love Zimmer, but he's had some trouble in the last couple of years with Minnesota. So I'd probably have to go with I don't know. I hate to say it.
I know you don't want to say it. I didn't want to say it either. That's why I went off board. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Green Bay's got this year. Aaron Rodgers MVP. So I don't know. I still think he needs more help, but I'd probably have to go with Green Bay.
Brian.
I mean, just with how good Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can't discount that. Brian.
Well, I've known you a while. I'm coming right out and saying it's Green Bay, right?
Yep.
Green Bay, I think they've got something to prove right now. Zimmer, Cousins, they got a turmoil between them, right? It's the old, it's the Seattle deal. It's just Seattle and Minnesota, right? You've got some challenges, and there's been some, obviously with the whole COVID thing that, Cousins is not happy with the team and he's not happy with the direction that's going in. I'm going Green Bay just because they have something to prove. If you had to list them in order, I would actually put Detroit a little bit ahead of Chicago. And the reason being is because I think that, they're going to throw Justin Fields out there. He may not be ready right away.
Yeah.
Jared Goff handles that a little bit better. I think Nagy's going to have to prove something as well, or Chicago's going to get rid of him, right? So,
this is his last year if he doesn't do well.
I think it really is going to come down to Green Bay. Mm-hmm. It's going to come Minnesota, Detroit, and then Chicago.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you guys, but I've been following the Bears for, every single day I listen to 670 out of Chicago. And I'm telling you, there's something brewing special in Chicago that you guys may or may not be privy to. The only thing I have got concerns about is our offensive line. They cannot stay healthy. Our defense has been unbelievable. They pick up Ogletree from the Giants and then the Rams. He has had 7 interceptions in camp so far. He is absolutely flying around the field. He'll take Danny Trevathan's place at the middle linebacker position, or outside linebacker's position. Roquan Smith was a top 3 middle linebacker behind Warner and Darius. Was it Darius Miller out of the Colts? Those are the top linemen that are linebackers, and then it was Roquan Smith stat wise. Obviously, you got Khalil Mack, and then it depends on who's going to take the other side. Robert Quinn is hurt, always been hurt. Came from Dallas. He's been a garbage defensive end, so we need somebody else on the other side of Khalil Mack to stop taking triple teams. Jalen Johnson is on the cornerback. He's doing phenomenal right now on the defensive side. So the defense looks like to be at least a top 10 defense. If they do play Justin Fields, and for God's sake, he wins this quarterback battle. I don't think he will. Man, I'll tell you, it's going to be exciting to see. I'm actually going to pick Chicago. Obviously, I'm a Bears fan, but I think the Bears actually wind up shocking a ton of people. And they'll actually wind up winning probably 10 games, guys. I'm dead serious. Because you know what? Nagy's going to have to. So
do they beat Green Bay at all?
They will. Absolutely. You know what? Here's why I say this. I can't rely on this. I think Aaron Rodgers gets hurt this year. I really do. I think he's going to get hurt.
Hurt last year.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers' problem is between his ears. He wants to be. He's the quarterback. He's the MVP quarterback. But he wants more. And I think that he's going to cause the problem. He's going to cause the strife. How's he going to handle a loss? Is he going to show up after a loss going off on his teammates?
Yeah.
And you lose your teammates then, and they quit playing for you. And hey, maybe it's the Bears that can do something crazy. But I said this last week with Manning. When they played Manning as a rookie and threw him to the Wolves, look what he turned into. I think you should do that to a young quarterback, and let them take their lumps and earn the respect of their team.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it's gonna be fun to watch. NFC South, Eric. Let's start with you, bud. NFC South.
NFC South. I guess I'd have to go with Tampa Bay. Right.
Defending Super Bowl champions is not a bad pick.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they haven't gotten worse. They haven't lost anybody, so
yeah, they got all 22 starters. Every one of them.
Yeah. So and now they've had a year together. So last year they're kind of putting it together halfway through the years when they really turned it around. So and had an amazing Super Bowl run. So now, I mean, yeah.
Yep. Brian.
Yeah, you got to go Tampa Bay. There's nothing else left in that division, right? I mean, I'm a Panthers fan. Matt Rule's going to do well. The problem is they're still at the quarterback. They still got a problem at the quarterback, right? That's their problem. That's going to be their weakness. They've got a great offensive coordinator, in Joe Brady. I just don't think they have the right tools for him just yet. They're going to be solid on defense, but you still got to be able to score 20 points a game to win.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to do that. I mean, they're just not. So obviously it's going to be Tampa Bay. The Saints, again, they're going to try to find their quarterback. They're not going to have it with the two guys that they have with Tyson Hill and what's his name there?
Jameis Winston.
Winston. Yeah. I mean, that's turnover city there. And Atlanta, they're starting over, right? I mean, this is they're starting over. So Tampa, you got to go Tampa Bay there.
Agreed. Sam?
You're not going to make any money betting against Tom Brady. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So, Tampa and that division is wrapped up by Halloween.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm obviously, Tampa's going to be. Now here's one question. It's going to be the NFC West. That's going to be a very interesting one. That's up in the air right now. But all right, well, Brian, we'll start with you, man.
I'm going Rams. Okay. I'm going Rams. I just think
I love that Matthew Stafford trade, man. I
think that having Matthew Stafford there on a team that has some talent, who's got a decent head coach, right? He's not a great head coach, but he's a decent head coach. He's still young as well. I think you put them two together with the offensive mind that both of them have. Obviously they're going to be battling with Seattle. I think San Francisco's just not quite there. Even, Super Bowl run a couple years ago, and they really struggled last year. I think Jimmy G's not it. I don't think that Trey Lance is the answer. I'm not sure why that they moved up to get him.
Over Justin Fields. That was unbelievable, man.
I mean, I'm glad I'm not in that front office. With John Lynch, because I would have probably strangled him.
Yeah, I mean that was a ballsy move, man. I mean, putting Trey Lance over Justin Fields, I could not believe it. I was actually on the phone with Eric Siddiqui and Todd during the draft, and we were listening. And when Trey Lance was picked, I'm like, oh my god! And then when Chicago moved up to the Giants at number 10, and gave them, it was a handsome draft picks, but man, to have Justin Fields fall down to 10 is
Fields should have went 2. They're gonna see he should have went 2. I think.
Listen, I don't
even know why San Francisco gave up so much to go up and get Trey Lance. It seemed like they could have got him where they were, honestly. But
yeah, I was going to say they could have just held pat and went and got him. I think that, if Chicago would have moved up and, tried to jump in front of San Francisco, I still think they would have taken Fields over Lance. One of two things are going to happen. Either the four of us are going to look like total idiots if Trey Lance comes out and just sets the world on fire for the next 3 to 5 years, and Kyle Shanahan now becomes, and John Lynch become the, the keys to the city to San Francisco.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. I don't see it. I just don't see that. I just, again, that's my own opinion, but I just think that, I'm not seeing,
they are comparing Trey Lance though to Patrick Mahomes.
Doesn't have enough games. It'd be different, 5 games as opposed to Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech had, a year and a half. Yeah. I don't see it. Right. It's the whole RG3 thing. Right. We could get on that whole soap opera. No. Right. The guy was horrible, at Baylor and when you franchise your whole team. So anyway, I'm going Rams and then Seahawks.
Yeah. Okay. Sam.
The Rams are going to edge out San Francisco. I don't see that many problems in San Francisco, as everybody else seems to talk about. But the Rams, that's a team that's been run well, an organization that's run well, and then picking up Stafford, he can throw in today's NFL. You've got
5,000 yards
to throw in an offense designed to throw. They're gonna, it's going to be the Rams.
Yep, Eric.
Rams.
I got Rams across the board, man. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. Now, listen, I do believe. I think the Cardinals are going to actually show something. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan, but I like the Cardinals. I mean, dude. I mean, they have the best wide receiver in the country right now, but I do like the Cardinals. I think they're going to give it a run. Their defense is a little suspect though.
You double team Hopkins, they have nothing else on the outside.
Yes, AJ's about to have a comeback here.
AJ Brown,
I'm convinced.
Or AJ Green.
What?
AJ Green.
AJ Green. Yeah.
He did go to the Cardinals. That's right. Yep. That's right, man. All right. Well, that wraps up the NFC, guys. AFC East. This one's a good one too, man.
I gotta go Bills. I'm gonna go Bills just because
I love it.
I just think the experience there. The Dolphins are still inexperienced. The Patriots, well, we all know where they're at. I mean, and the Jets. I just don't think their pick is going to do anything either. Look, the guy just got into camp because he had contract negotiation challenges already, right? So. I just don't think the Jets are 3-4 years away, I think, from anything. But, I'm going Bills.
Very good. Sam.
Yeah, the Jets are picking number 1 in the draft next year. So this is Miami's not there, and the Patriots they aren't either. I mean, why do you expect the Bills to take a step back? They're gonna take a step forward and show themselves to be at the top of the class in the AFC.
Eric.
Yeah, Bills are gonna take it easily.
Yeah,
Josh Allen has come around and he's shown what he could do now, and their defense is amazing there. So I don't see any other team having a chance there.
Very good. We have a question from YouTube, and it looks like it's Israel. It's coming from Israel. Did you guys see this? Here's your question of the night.
Lionel Messi.
In your opinion, best football player: Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Mbappe. I don't know who the other two. I know Zoltan, but I don't know the other guys. I don't know anything about soccer. I have no idea. But what I saw in France today, when Lionel Messi came, I think it's going to be Lionel Messi. The kind of reception he got in France, not even the president gets that kind of reception, especially this president now. So I mean, that was ridiculous what he got then. So
I think that was a trick question. I think the answer is Lionel Messi, and every other name on there is made up.
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo and
Neymar's a.
No, I'm pretty sure you're wrong about that. They all sound made up.
This is true.
The trick question.
Those are the
But-
richest made-up names I've ever heard, too.
They,
You know?
listen, no doubt. I mean, I think Cristiano Ronaldo was the second or first highest paid athlete in the world this year. So, anyway, moving on. All right, AFC East. We all picked the Bills. AFC North. Let's go with Eric.
I think you know my answer to this question. Gotta go with my Bengals.
There's no way,
I mean,
man.
yeah, right, dude. It could happen. I'm a Bengals fan.
Yeah,
Beginning
You
of
were
the year
there-
is my
you were there
favorite
with
time
bags
of
on
the
your
year.
face, dude. You were there with
There's
bags on your face.
Yeah, no, I grew up, going to Bengals games all through the '90s and everything, and I saw them at their worst. I mean, that's what I grew up with. I mean, people would come to games with bags on their head and Mike Brown step down signs, and I remember all that stuff. Had a Steelers fan in the bathroom when I was probably 10. We were beating them, and I was like, "Yeah, baby!" And the Steelers fan told me to go F myself. So ever since then, I've hated the Steelers. So, and then every experience I've had with them has reinstilled that hatred to the point where I won't even allow yellow kayak. But I think they'll be all right. Joe Burrow, I think he's gonna, it might take him some time, but I think he'll come back and be successful. It's all gonna come down to that offensive line. If they could hold up, they've got a little bit of help. I don't think it was enough, but maybe it's enough to keep Joe Burrow healthy all year. And if that happens, then I think they'll be good. They've got some amazing receivers. Their defense is not great, but they've got some solid guys, and they've picked up some solid guys. So,
All right, that's a bold prediction,
so-
man. But Bengals, I don't know, man. They are still the floor.
You just picked the Bears.
Hey, you picked the Bengals.
Did he?
Get an offensive line, then we can talk. All right, Brian, who you got, man?
I'm gonna go, and I hate doing this, but I'm definitely gonna go Ravens. Right?
Yeah.
Steelers are done. They're on their last year out. I think Tomlin's
Oh, yeah.
gone after this year.
Ben's on she should have like a AAA card or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I can't say anything. I like Tomlin. I think he's a
Yeah.
great coach. I
Tomlin's
just
a great
think it's time. It's time to move on and go sit in the wind. Maybe end up back down at William and Mary as a coach, right? So
That's right.
I'm going to go Ravens, and then I'm going to go Browns. Right? I think it's going to come down to those two. I think it depends on how the Browns are going to come out at the beginning of the year. I think they'll be okay halfway through, and I think they'll pick up some steam at the end. But I'm still going Ravens.
Yep, Sam.
I'll take Cleveland. I think Cleveland edging out the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's recklessness is going to get him hurt. He will not play all 17 games this year, and that's going to be the tipping point that lets Cleveland build off of something that they had last year. And they were close to Kansas City in the playoffs last year. So Cleveland, why not?
I tell you what, Lamar Jackson
I'll
can't
tell
get
you why
in-
not. Because their quarterback tried to plant a flag in AstroTurf.
He's not supposed to be planting flags. He's supposed to be throwing footballs. He's
still a little bit bitter.
I'm
about
not going to tell you that he's not one of the goofiest people in the league. But have fun.
Yeah, but you know what though? The Browns did try to trade him last year. So
he's got a huge distraction, right? He's looking for that new contract, although he says now it's not going to be a distraction. I guarantee it will be a distraction halfway through.
It absolutely will. It's going to be, but you know what? Though some guys, on contract years, absolutely perform their best because they want to make that cash. And but Lamar Jackson can't get on the field, man. He's had COVID twice during this year. I mean, literally,
that's his recklessness. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, look, you're supposed, and he was even vaccinated. He's got COVID twice. So, I don't know about the Ravens, man. I mean, the Ravens, they're having their issues inside the line in terms of, defensive line and offensive line. They have some pretty good talent on the outside. But I'm not a Ravens fan this year. I do like the Ravens, but I think the Browns take that division. And I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's going to be Browns Ravens. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right.
That division is going to be some of your most fun football this whole season.
It will.
beat the crap out of each other.
It's going to
That's
be
why.
it's going to be the NFC East of
Yep.
last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna be NFC. I mean, literally,
And this year.
an 8-9 team might win that division.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Well, we have also now the AFC South. Again, man, this one's gonna be tough to pick. I'm not sure who's gonna come out of this. The Colts are a disaster. I mean, they can't get their stinky quarterbacks, no matter who it is, to stay on the field. Carson Wentz came from the Eagles, went to the Colts, and now their offensive line is hurt. All sorts of crap going on with the Colts. Tennessee's pretty strong. I do like Tennessee. I'm gonna pick the Titans just because of the running game. AJ Brown's amazing. Ryan Tannehill's not too bad, man. He had a very good season last year. Stayed healthy. Had a great year. Obviously, the Texans are a disaster right now. So, with Deshaun Watson and that whole situation, and I mean, they're picking scrubs, and they're just pathetic. So, I'm gonna go Titans. Eric, who do you have, bud?
Yeah, I gotta go Titans. I mean, like you said, AJ Brown's awesome. Now they've got Julio on the team. I think they've again only gotten better from last year. So, I mean, the Colts have a great defense, but their offense just isn't good enough for that to make a big enough difference. I think Titans will take it fairly easily this year.
Sam?
Tennessee Titans. They haven't taken a step back from last season. They're I see a three-way race: Kansas City, Tennessee, and Buffalo. Whichever two of those teams play for the AFC crown, it's good. It's going to be one of the two of those three. But Tennessee, just for the sheer fact of the Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going Tennessee. I mean, there's nothing else there. Trevor Lawrence still new. Urban Meyer has no clue really right what he's really getting into, right? So it's Tennessee. I think they win one more game, right? They go 12-5. That's Tennessee 12-5.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, like you're talking about the Jaguars, man. Obviously this whole Tim Tebow thing. I mean, that's going to die out. I mean, it's going to flame out. He's not going to be consistently one of the NFL's best tight ends. There's no way. Okay. They have a long way to go. But anyway, as I said, all right, AFC West. Man, I've got a surprise pick here. Eric, who do you have, man?
I mean, it's Kansas City. They even learned their lesson from last year with their offensive line. They got all that offensive line help because, they realized that how good their quarterback was, but he can't play really well when he's trying to play off his back. So, they went and got all that offensive line help. And I think,
he was hurt
not
last
only
year.
do they win their division, but I think, I think they'll get that Super Bowl they missed out on last year too, honestly, after just what they did. I was kind of wishing the Bengals would have done what they did, in the offseason, going and getting that offensive line help.
Yeah.
They didn't,
Yep.
and it wasn't cheap either. They got, the best guys they could.
Yep.
So a quarterback, like Mahomes with behind an offensive line like that, I just don't see how. I don't see how anybody can.
And Tariq Hill, man, I mean, look, that guy is just a freaking track star. And, you give Mahomes time and Tariq Hill running down the field, that's dangerous, man. Over the top all day long. Travis Kelce in the middle. I mean, the only thing about Kansas City is the running game. They have no running game whatsoever. So hopefully with this offensive line, they'll actually run the ball. But we'll see. Brian, who do you have, bud?
I am going with the Chargers.
What?
Let me tell you the reason why I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Wow.
Right? So I'm going to disagree a little bit with Eric. Yep, and you. They went out and the Chiefs got offensive line help, but they got old offensive line help, and they also got people from that were retired last year that didn't play. So staying healthy, if they fall into that same predicament that they did last year in that Super Bowl, where your two offensive tackles were out and hurt, which you could end up seeing, Mahomes doesn't do really well when he, is just scrambling around. When he has a designed play, he does really, really well, right? So I'm going Chargers, but I think it's going to be a really good battle. Remember, the Chiefs lost 2 games last year in the division. I think one of them was to the Chargers early on.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think the Chargers have stepped up a little bit this year with some of their picks, their draft picks, and some of their free agent signings. I'm going Chargers over the Chiefs.
Wow. Sam.
I like the Chiefs, and I like the Chiefs so much. I'm going to tell you that right now, when the playoffs start, your Kansas City Chiefs are going to be 17-0 going into the playoffs.
Wow.
I guess that'd make them the 3rd team to ever finish the season on a perfect regular season. If it's going to be anybody, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. That Super Bowl loss stung. This is a good team. Hill, Kelsey, down the middle, like you said, Brian. They're angry and they've got something to prove, and they're going to make teams feel it for 17 weeks this year.
Okay, I mean that's pretty good. But when they go 0-1, Sam, I'm coming right back to you.
Oh yeah. I said that they're going to lose. They're going to lose the first week. But
You
They're
just
going to go undefeated.
if there's any team that has a chance to go a 17-0, would you take anybody other than the Chiefs this season?
Yeah, I would.
Another team to go 17-0, or
if it's not the Chiefs, who else? Who else?
I would take Tampa.
Tampa Bay.
I would take Tampa Bay.
I would take Tampa Bay as well.
Yeah.
That'd be the only team, other team
because of how weak that division is.
Bengals.
Well, guys, here's my surprise.
No. 17-0. The 17 wins.
Yeah.
I saw a meme that said, "Just remember, the Pittsburgh Steelers were the worst 11-0 team of all time from last year."
That's true.
The Steelers are the worst team of all time ever.
Here's my pick to win the AFC West. You ready, guys? It is the Las Vegas Raiders.
No way.
I think I do.
Not even close.
I'm serious, man. Dude, their draft was absolutely amazing. They got fast. They're a fast team that can compete with Kansas City. Their defense is stout right now. Their linebacking core is ridiculous. And the Raiders have the best offensive line in the NFL. Stat for stat, period. David Carr, solid. 102.3 was his rating last year. Best career year he's had. Their wide receivers. Huggs is ridiculous. He is just as good, if not faster than Tyreek Hill. He's unbelievable, guys. This Raiders team with John Gruden, it's going to be fun to watch in Las Vegas, and they're going to be fired up. I pick the Raiders. I love them.
John Gruden does realize that the plays that you called in 1990s don't work.
No, he knows that now. He knows that at Banana XY, whatever it is. No, what was it? Spider Y Banana, I think is what he called it.
Yeah. Him and Mayock are looking for jobs next year. Mayock's back doing the draft.
Well, no, you can't release Gruden, man. He's on a 10-year contract, man. So he's $100 million.
You can do whatever you want.
I like the Raiders, man. I just love them. So, all right, guys, let's get your Super Bowl picks, man, and your champion. I did this the first week. I'm going to pick. Here's my pick for the Super Bowl. I have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl, and I think the Rams are going to win it. Brian.
Oh, I don't even know how you can. I don't know. Wow. I know I picked the Chargers, but I've got to say the Chiefs. I think at the end of the day, if they can stay healthy, I would pick the Chiefs. I'd pick the Chiefs over the Rams, I think.
Okay. So we're in agreement about the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to have a pretty decent year.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Eric?
I don't know. I'm going to call a repeat from last year's Super Bowl.
Oh, Tampa and Kansas City.
But I think the Chiefs are going to take it this time. That's what I think is going to happen.
2 Chiefs?
I mean,
all right.
Yeah, because Tampa was a surprise last year, but they really they turn around and got together. I think it's a lot easier for them this year.
Right.
But I don't know. Brady can't win again.
I know.
It's not possible, right?
That would be horrible. That would be horrible.
It's going to be Tampa coming out of the NFC, and Brady's great, but Brady hasn't won them all. And he's going to lose this year to the Tennessee Titans.
So you have the Chiefs going 17-0.
Yep.
Yeah, but
They will end the postseason 17-0, but they will
And
not
they
go to the Super Bowl.
lose.
Yeah,
They lose
they're
in the divisional finals.
in the playoffs. Yeah, it's going to be Tennessee. That's not a fun, not a sexy division, not a fun, not a sexy team. But if you sit down and watch Tennessee, there's some problems for some other teams. Defensively, can they match what Kansas City is going to throw at them?
Yeah,
I don't know, but it's it's the playoffs is its own special animal, special season.
it is. It's a different season for sure.
Yeah. And Tennessee is not a bad team. They're, a couple. They've made the playoffs a few years. There's a lot of experience there.
Yep, no doubt. Brian, we're going to end this segment with you, my friend. We got some stuff we're going to talk about here. The famed NASCAR, and NASCAR has really had a lot of different changes coming up, man. Kyle Larson came back. He won last week, man. But I want to talk about a couple things with you, my friend. What the major changes in NASCAR has been occurring. Obviously, they went to more of a road track, added a lot of things on their schedule. Atlanta Motor Speedway redoing the track. Some drivers are very upset about the fact that they didn't really consult with them in the redo of that speedway. Kevin Harvick had some pretty strong and blasting comments about that. And then talk about the drivers really versus NASCAR. And then we're going to talk about the 2022 changes with the new car coming up, man. Let's talk about NASCAR, guys.
Well, I mean, listen, Atlanta, they called Aaron Rodgers and he said it was okay. I mean, it was the only time somebody really, went to Aaron Rodgers and asked his opinion. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Look, each track has their own characteristics, and I think everybody understands that. And I think that, for so many years, you run a track and then you just up and say, hey, by the way, we're going to repave after this. Well, then you've changed the whole entire race. And look, you and I have talked about this a lot. And that, look, the 1.5 mile tracks, get rid of them.
Please,
you know what? They could blow them up. I don't even care, right? I mean, it's gotten to the point where that is so.
Michigan, Kentucky, all that. Get rid of them all.
Michigan is a different track, right? 2 mile track there at Michigan. Michigan, comes down to fuel mileage, right? You're not gonna see a lot of action or wrecks there, right?
200 miles an hour, Florida to the board. I mean, no governors, they're not bunched. And it seems like one car constantly outdoes, and they're winning by a lap.
And you're going to see that now, right? You're going to see that even with the next gen car, right? It's the same thing. I don't care how much aero they've changed. I don't care how much, the horsepower changes. You're going to see the exact same thing. You're going to get out in front. You're going to lead. You're going to have the best aero package that's out there available. You get guys in dirty air back behind. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same product, just with a newer, more production-based car. Right. The only good thing about it is, and you mentioned this right there at the opening, is that, this year they went to, added more road courses. Right. They're going to do the same thing next year. They went to a sequential shifter. Right. So it's not the the H pattern anymore. It's a sequential shifter, which is going to make a lot of difference. And I think, there's so many other different things, right? Independent rear suspension, rack and parent steering. They went to the aluminum wheels now. So there's no more.
They turned into Indy with a stock car.
Well, no, they've turned into IMSA with a stock car. Remember, NASCAR owns IMSA, right? And so, if you're not familiar with IMSA, that's, kind of GT cars and things like that. I've kind of gone to the, you've got a DPI car there, which is more horsepower and stuff like that. They're trying to compete with that type of fan base, right? That fan base, and that's what I cover on a daily basis, pretty much. And as a matter of fact, when I leave you guys here, I'm getting ready to go call a Ray Esports iRacing event, right? And that's what it is. So, they're trying to compete with that. That fan base is totally different, right? That is, Lexuses, Ferraris, Lamborghinis. It's not your Toyotas, your Fords, your your Chevrolet. So it's a huge deal. I just don't. what they're going to change is they're going to change the product, but the product at the end of the day will still be the same.
Has NASCAR really just bailed on their original grassroots fan base?
I don't think they've bailed on it. I mean, again, they're still looking for, again, we talked about it when we were talking about college football with, universities. It's about financials, right? That's really all it's about. I even think you're getting to the race, even the racetracks don't care, right? Because they're getting their money from the TV contracts and from the, from NASCAR. They don't care about the fan base. Now, they say they do, and some do, but some just, they don't care how many seats they sell. They don't care if you show up or not, right? They've already got their money from that. So
that's terrible optics, though. I mean, like Daytona International Speedway, man, they had a backstretch. They got rid of the backstretch because they weren't selling tickets, man, and they put everybody on the front stretch. And it's just terrible optics on TV when you see, these cars going around and not even showing the stands because they're so embarrassed. There's nobody in them.
Correct.
It's
because it's the product on the racetrack. Right. That is
Agreed,
the problem. That is the product on the racetrack. If you had side by side, if you had Daytona, right? Let's throw Talladega in there. Let's throw Daytona in there. Heck, let's even throw the road courses in there, right? You start seeing side by side action. You start seeing it banging a little bit fender here and there. You start seeing, guys going from 30th to first or from first down to 25th. That product, that's going to bring fans in, right?
Yeah.
That's like when you go to a baseball game. What do you want to see? You either want to see a no-hitter or you want to see a boatload of home runs.
Hey, Brian, let me interrupt you here for just 1 second. I know NASCAR is the American sport, and I kind of made a joke of our guest asking the question from Israel earlier. But as far as soccer goes, in America, we are very American-centric on our sports, and so we're talking some NASCAR here, but go and pull up the highlights of the last two F1 races on YouTube, about a 7-minute clip for each one of them. You will see more interesting things that have happened in the last two F1 races than you have the last two NASCAR seasons. And I'm only slowly starting to get back into Formula One racing, but there is some crazy, wild stuff going on over there, like in NASCAR, where you used to have drivers hate each other. You've got two drivers in Formula One hating each other and going at each other and teams trying to sign away other drivers and things like that. There's some really fun and interesting stuff going on there. That's got my attention way more. When I'm looking for watching racing on a Sunday, I'm looking to find the F1 race. I couldn't tell you where NASCAR's racing next, but I tell you that Formula One's racing in Belgium.
100% agree with you, Sam. I think the product there has gotten better, right? I think obviously you're starting to get your rivals, right? You're getting the Schumachers, you're getting the Hamiltons, you're getting those guys are starting to have some challenges and some issues with racing. Formula One really got stale there for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was the same guys winning and it was the same action, where you only had 3 or 4 cars able to compete. Now guys are starting to come back into that, and they're racing at different tracks than they did before. I'm not a big fan of F1, but you're right. I'll get up on a Sunday morning, go get my coffee from 7-Eleven down the street, take the dog, come back, sit down, drink my coffee, and I'm watching an F1 race if it's on, right? I was never into road course racing. I was a huge NASCAR fan growing up, but I tell you what, ever since I got into driving road course races, it's totally different. If you're a fan of NASCAR and you're not a fan of road course, I challenge anybody, any listener, go to a road course race and get involved in it somehow, some way. It will change the way you look at things, right? You've got, miles and miles, and it's not the same, right? You're not going down the end and turning left, right? NASCAR has made this product that, Greg and I were talking about that, at all honesty, it's you go down and you turn left. That's it. I mean, if you get out in front, you've got about a 75% chance you're probably going to win the race, unless somebody messes up some type of a, strategy call.
Did NASCAR die when Dale died?
I don't think NASCAR died when Dale died. I think that, again, it became the way the country is. It's all about finances, really. Mm-hmm. It's all about becoming rich. I think the product that you see, some of the individuals driving, and some of them have a lot of talent. And Greg, you and I have experienced this firsthand, right?
Yeah, we've competed against them.
It doesn't matter whether you can go down in the corner and turn left and get the most out of the car. As long as you can provide the money for that team owner, they're going to take you out of somebody who actually built the darn race car.
That's right.
Right. And knows everything from front to back. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's still, where we're at right now. I know I don't agree with it. Other people may. If you're an owner, obviously you have your own thoughts, right? Because it's all about making money in order to compete. Look, Ganassi's now out of NASCAR, right? Doesn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. He's starting to work more on his, his IMSA program and his, everything he can elsewhere other than NASCAR. Doesn't need to be in it anymore.
Yeah.
You've got younger team owners coming in now that are starting to do that, come in there. So,
yeah, I mean, you still have the big names like the backing that sport. I mean, my goodness, I mean, Michael Jordan just signed on. And that's with the Denny Hamlin team and Bubba Wallace, man. I mean, that's a big name to have in that sport, man. You had Troy Aikman, in that sport,
Well, Michael Jordan's been in it for a very long time. You just haven't seen it up to the forefront, just to the fact that it was more of a Denny Hamlin, right? Michael Jordan and Air Jordan, they product sponsor for Denny Hamlin for years.
Yeah.
Right. Now you've got two people that come in. Again, it's the young teams are going away. Your older owners are just, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm starting to move on. And you have these youngers, and now you have somebody who was able to get with Michael Jordan and bring him up to the forefront.
Kevin Harvick made a comment, man, in Atlanta. It talked about the prestigiousness of the championship, with Dale winning, I think 7, Jimmy Johnson winning. Is that he won 8,
7,
right?
No,
7,
Johnson, okay. 7 as well. Yeah.
Okay, 7 as well. Okay. So, I mean, but Kevin Harvick had made a comment to where today's championship doesn't mean as much as it did when Dale was driving. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can get on it, and we've seen this, right? Tony Stewart years ago doesn't win a race all season long, comes in, gets into the playoffs, and ends up winning 5 races out of the 10 championship races, ends up winning over Carl Edwards. Back in Dale and Richard Petty, right? You had to be consistent for 30 some weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
Right. You had to be consistent. Perfect example, Alan Kowicki, right? Guy, one car. He had, I think, 3 cars total in his whole entire stable to race the whole season.
He was number 7, right?
Yep. And all of a sudden he becomes, consistent over the last half of the season. He ends up, winning the championship. So I think consistency really what does it. Anybody can get on a hot streak. It's not easy. I will say that. It's not easy, to get on that hot streak. But when you have, 14 guys who can really be the only ones that really that are capable of winning, out of 37 cars. Look, we used to have 43 cars show up every week.
Yep.
Right. And then at one point they were setting up. Now they can't even field. Then they dropped that back to 40. Right. They dropped the 3.
Right.
Now they can't even field 40.
Well, there'll be 48 cars competing for 43 spots.
Yes.
Back then. Mm-hmm. I mean, now you can't even. You're right. You can't even fill the field.
Right. Because it was based off talent back then.
But also too, I mean, also too, the amount of money it takes now with this new car coming out, the next gen car or whatever they want to call it. I mean, isn't it true that they dropped the horsepower from 750 down to 550? Is that correct?
No, I mean, they still got the, you still got the, the horsepower there. 550 is going to be the horsepower you're going to have on the larger tracks, anything over 1.5 miles. Just putting a restrictor plate on there, you'll still have the 750 and the in the smaller ones. It's more they're more looking to cost savings, right? I mean, that's what they're really trying to do. I don't see it. I still think you're going to have to spend $25 million in a year, and that's a bottom line team in order to compete. Right, you're not going to compete with Penske. You're not going to compete with Gibbs, right? I
No,
mean,
you're not.
NASCAR's limited. You can
Except for
only have.
Eric Siddiqui when he sells his sunglasses, he's going to be able to compete.
There it is.
Those guys.
Right.
That
Siddiqui
Bengals type
Racing.
car is going to look
Siddiqui
awesome
Racing,
on the
man.
track.
That sounds
Siddiqui
really good.
Motorsports. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep. Siddiqui
So,
Motorsports.
Yeah, look at
Actually,
those, baby.
that sounds pretty daggone good.
That's it. Big S
I'm
and
only
an
looking
M.
to sell the kayak fisherman.
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, look, man, I'm sad because I mean, I was such a big NASCAR guy, man. I mean, I love the sport, but quite frankly, like you said, man, I mean, it was it's just different, man. It's just a different time. I mean, I think they didn't listen to their fans. They certainly not listening to their drivers, and they're doing everything they can to make to the bottom line. And I think they're making all the wrong decisions. I mean, I really do. But it's really the true stock car fan is starting to find other means to kind of see and enjoy the sport other than NASCAR.
Well,
I
listen,
took a trip to Dominion Speedway. It would have been 2019. Not a lot of racing went on last year. I took the family there for admission, concessions, a couple of drinks. I dropped $100 for and got 4 hours worth of entertainment out of it, and it was a blast. These local tracks are everywhere. Go to your local tracks. Support your local tracks. These are small businesses, local businesses. They'd love to see. You'd love to see you there. Care more about you there than Atlanta Motor Speedway will.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, 100%, Sam. I mean, go to your local track wherever you're at. I mean, you're right. You get more action. I mean, believe it or not, those guys have something to prove. Right. That's what it is. It's about winning there. It's not about just going out and racing. It's about going out and winning. I mean, heck, I've gotten into karting, 50 some years later, I decided to get into karting and racing on dirt, and I am horrible at it. Right. I am flat horrible at it, but I have the best time. And there's anywhere from 300 to, I think last year in November, there was 600 carts.
Wow.
At a race, now again, there's 20 some different groups, but anyway, and it's the same thing with road course racing, go out, go do Sports Club Car of America, go do, NASA, again, you don't have to compete at a high level to have fun.
Right.
But, for the dollars and cents that you're going to spend, go to a local track, support them, keep them going. Those are the guys. You may even see a couple fisticuffs there, that happen out in some of those, and that's kind of the best part.
That's kind of like old time.
The only one I've ever been to is Kentucky Speedway. That's a good time.
You will at a local track.
Yeah.
Kentucky Speedway was fun. We got a good cornhole game together before the thing, and played that for about 3 hours. And I don't really remember the race, but it was a great time.
Neither did half the other people that were there either.
Oh man, but yeah, you're right.
It is definitely, as Sam alluded to earlier, Greg, with with Formula One and even with IMSA, and that's what it's a totally different fan base, right? It is 100% totally different fan base. Not even on that, even in the dirt racing world, right? I've really gotten into that the last year and a half, and got some really good, assignments coming up for that. I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to getting with those, because it's just a totally different fan base.
Yeah.
And the product is so much better.
Well, boys, that's over an hour and a half of sports, man. That's a lot. So
we hit them all.
We hit them all, man. We're going to be coming back here next week too. After look, man, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we all have football to talk about. We will be back talk about football, man. There's no doubt about it. And hopefully the Bengals actually win something, man. Maybe they'll go undefeated in the preseason. Preseason champs, there, buddy.
I don't care if they go undefeated in the preseason. I'm looking for a Super Bowl, baby.
Well, boys, thank you guys so much for coming on. I know taking time away from your family, man, enjoying this. It's gonna be on the podcast, guys. This is off on YouTube, Facebook. It's gonna be on the podcast here coming uploaded. It's on Apple. It's on all your Spotify and all that good stuff. Greg Nosar Show. It's for Brian Donati, Sam Cales, and Eric Siddiqui. Peace out. Have a great one. Watch some sports this weekend.
Hey, guys.
Bye.
Later.